Is it vital to play Honkai Impact before Star Rail? Everyone keeps telling me to watch this video. It talks about the lore connecting Honkai Impact and Star Rail. So let me check this out.
Million pre-registrations before the launch of Honkai Star Rail, the interest towards this new game created by Hoyoverse is obviously very high. But there's one question that's
You're pulling for him because of Husbando.
Do I need to know
so what do we got?
of
Like an
Honkai
hour and
Impact
30 minutes left
to understand anything in Honkai
hour and
Star
45
Rail?
minutes.
And if you're asking this question, you might fall into one of these two categories. One, you've only played Genshin Impact and never played Honkai Impact 3rd.
No,
or
nope.
two, this is your
I
first
played
time
Honkai Impact 3rd, but I quit because that game was so bad at the launch that I couldn't possibly play any longer.
Game made by
I played for like 2 months.
And the word Honkai is throwing you off. The quick and easy answer is no. You don't need to play Honkai Impact 3rd to get the full experience within Honkai Star Rail.
But
it's a bit complicated. So in hope to help you better understand, this video will outline the bare minimum that you will need to know to get the full experience of the story in Honkai Star Rail without getting too confused.
I don't feel like I've been confused so far in Star Rail, to be honest.
Now, before we get to the
I feel like the only thing I've missed out on lately is like Easter eggs and stuff.
Portion, one of the biggest concerns when it comes to trying out Honkai Star Rail is of course the story. And with so many similar characters within Hoyoverse, it's easy to assume that these characters are linked in some
Oh, holy shit, I didn't realize how much they look alike.
way. After all, they're like 90% identical.
Yeah.
For instance, we have Himeko in Honkai Star Rail, who's obviously a reflection of Murata Himeko in Honkai Impact 3rd, and even in the game of Genshin Impact, it shares the same name with the
Paimon Easter egg where?
Not to mention, we have characters like A, who is basically a rendition of Mei from Honkai Impact 3rd.
Yeah, I thought
to further the confusion, Bronya, Sere, Sushang, Silverwolf are all taken from staple characters within the universe of Honkai Impact 3rd. But
it's funny because Silverwolf's also a hacker in
Honkai
Impact 3rd.
Similar personalities and appearances.
That's supposed to be Sela? Who's
the world
that?
of Star Rail all seem to have their own individual
Or was that supposed to be Natasha?
And as we follow them through their journey, we can notice that while these export characters' concepts are similar, they are in fact completely different individuals to begin with. Of course, it's nice to know the story of Honkai Impact 3rd because you get to understand which characters are related to who. But as a player that is fully caught up in the story of Honkai Impact 3rd and have played through the beta of Star Rail, I realized that the game does an awesome job making sure that we don't feel alienated. And that's accomplished by building up the stories of these characters from the ground up. So really, when it comes to the characters, you can enjoy a full experience without knowing much of anything from Honkai Impact 3rd. Okay. It's pretty similar to how Raiden Shogun was introduced in Genshin Impact, and even without any context for Honkai Impact 3rd, everyone was fine and it didn't have any.
That's because of what you just saw. It was because she pulled a sword from her titties. That, my friend, is why nobody felt like they were missing out on anything. Apparently there's a guard where Bronya is from. If you question him enough about going past him, Paimon's voice will play. The one where she says we can travel there later. What? Really? I didn't even know that. There's a YouTube video on it? You sure it's not edited? I'm gonna have to try that. All they did was use a shitty game to make a better game. Are you talking about Honkai Impact 3rd? I wouldn't call it a shitty game. It was shitty when it came out, but a lot of gachas are shitty when it comes out. It's been out for like fucking 6 years now. If it was shitty, it wouldn't still be going. They wouldn't be able to afford to keep it going if it was that shitty.
Issues at all. But
and the fact that I uploaded a reaction video of just reacting to trailers and it got fucking like almost 60,000 views now on YouTube and like almost 1,000 comments goes to show how much the community actually loves that game. As a new Genshin player, and I started a month ago, when I saw Raiden pull that sword out, I knew I would need, but yeah, see?
There are a couple things that makes it somewhat complicated, and that's because of the
that's what a lot of people had complained about. Thank you for follow. A lot of people were worried about it being convoluted.
Of Welt. Unlike the characters I mentioned,
that's exactly why, because Welt is the only character in this game that is from Honkai Impact 3rd. Like, he is from that universe. And from what I've gathered, from what a lot of people have told me, Welt came to this universe because apparently every single version of Himeko it has died. So it's like she's fated to die. And he came to this universe, this dimension, to prevent her from dying, apparently.
Mentioned previously, Welt in Star Rail is the same Welt from Honkai Impact 3.
Yeah, there's a manga that talks about
essentially
it.
traveled into this alternative universe for a certain purpose.
Yep.
Now, who is Welt? Why is he here, and why is he so important? To help you really understand what's going on and give you a bit of context, allow me to explain a few important things about Welt that you should know to understand what you could expect in the future of Honkai Star Rail.
I love this song.
Who is Welt? Consider him as one of the
Must
main
prepare for the
characters
worst.
within the world of Honkai Impact 3.
Okay.
A heroic personality that wants to say,
Can someone give me the link to this manga? That if you guys know where it is, I want to read this manga. I hope Zoro gets lost and ends up in Genshin Impact. That would require them to make a unit that uses 2 or 3 swords, and they would never do that because they've had the same weapons in Genshin for like 3 fucking years, you know? You did well there. Sorry, Sovereign. The mission was a failure. She was awakened and is growing stronger with every moment.
save and preserve humanity through peace, reason, and selflessness. At one point, he had a power of the first Hersher, basically having godly
Hersher of
powers.
reason.
And his powers allowed him to manipulate things like gravity and could even create black holes. And in addition to these powers, it also gave him the ability to reconstruct his body, which explains his middle-aged appearance even though he's over 80 years old.
Oh, damn.
Now, although eventually he gave his powers to Bronya in Honkai Impact 3,
Oh, he
it's
did.
implied that he still retained some of his powers later in the story. Now, why is the backstory of Welt so important to Star Rail? It's really because of 2 reasons. First, we need to understand that he's somewhat of a heroic figure that wants to save humanity, whether it's in his world or an alternative universe.
Damn.
And second, he still has some of his powers left. Now, I know this is going to get a little bit confusing, but with those 2 things in mind, let's talk about how Welt arrived into the world of Star Rail in the first place.
I wonder if
So
we're
near
going to
the
get
end
a
of the
different 5-star version of him where he has more powers, like awakened or something.
The story in Honkai Impact 3 is showcased within the Alien Space manga. A blonde humanoid AI named Void Archives approaches.
Wait, Archives? Is that not Lucha? The fuck? Wait, people told me about this. The Void Archives is apparently that weapon that Atto uses.
A blonde humanoid AI named Void Archives approaches Welt for his powers. And because his remaining powers can manipulate Honkai energy, Void Archives wanted to use his power to open a dimensional Stargate, a dimensional teleportation device to remove the threats of the Sky People. Now, it's not very important to understand what Sky People are for the sake of this video because the game of Honkai Impact 3 is not really finished, but just know that Void Archives and Welt eventually do end up working together, setting aside their differences for a certain period of time. Now, during their interaction, Welt is introduced to the existence of an alternate reality, and with the knowledge of this Void Archives, Welt's power to manipulate Honkai energy, and the usage of Cosmic Juggernaut, basically a train that gives you the ability to look into other universes, this monumental task of universe-hopping dimensional travel is achieved for humans. Now, that's the very basics of how Welt arrived into the world of Star Rail, but perhaps a better question is why?
Yeah.
Why did Welt want to go into a different universe?
Because of Himiko, right?
And if we can answer this question, we could probably get a good idea of how much connections there are between Honkai Impact 3 and Honkai Star Rail. Now, I know it can seem like Welt has a huge role within the story of Honkai Star Rail, but honestly, in my personal opinion, it might be much simpler than we think.
Like just Easter eggs?
So we already mentioned earlier that Welt is a very heroic figure. And just from this context alone, his existence in Star Rail becomes very simple. He just wants to help humans even if they're in another universe. And after
Dude, I'm
going through
sorry. Every time I look at him, I just see Aizen from Bleach, man. Oh my god.
some of the gameplay in beta, it seems to me that Welt's role is pretty straightforward. He's an observer that often gives additional context about the universe but most importantly, staying within the concepts of the world in Honkai Star Rail. He's literally an old man that likes to talk about his past for the new kids to understand.
Yeah.
So although Welt is directly linked to two universes of Honkai Impact 3rd and Star Rail,
Okay.
it seems that the story of Honkai Star Rail stays within its own path. But while Welt can be doing all this out of responsibility for humanity, there's one more thing that probably pushed him to make his choice to travel into this alternate world.
Himiko.
And that's because of Himiko.
Yep.
So what happened was, in the world of Honkai Impact 3rd, Himiko was a student of Welt at a university. And without spoiling too much of the story, basically,
fall in love.
Welt tells a white lie to Himiko, which ultimately leads to a certain tragedy. And after all those years, it's probably
Wait, so it's because of him?
reasonable to assume that Welt shouldered a sense of responsibility.
Oh, it's not most likely. He is getting another version. It's already been data mined. Does Saruka?
Then we fast forward again to the interaction between Welt and Void Archives, and that's where Welt learns that Himiko exists within the world of Star Rail. So perhaps
Wait, what?
To the interaction between
Found something that you need to tell me about. Recognize my student anywhere.
Welt and Void Archives, and that's
It is a banner unit. It's 1.3. Bits of
where Welt learns that Himiko exists within the world of Star Rail. So perhaps out of the sense of responsibility to save humanity, alongside a sense of guilt, could be the reason why Welt decided to traverse across multiple universes and to eventually arrive in the world of Star Rail. Now within the story of Star Rail, there's some implications that Welt arrived into this world with a
Oh, and that's supposed to be the Void Archives right behind him. I thought that was Lucha. Holy shit, okay.
Which we could assume is Void Archives. But at the current moment of the story in Star Rail, I don't think it would cause too much of an issue for playing the game. After all, if the backstory of Welt eventually gets elaborated, I'm sure it will be introduced in an easy to understand manner, just like how the story of characters are showcased for new players that are not familiar with the story of Honkai Impact 3rd. Now as a side note, if you think about Genshin Impact, Honkai Impact 3rd, and Honkai Star Rail together, you may come across many similar concepts throughout the story. For example, things like Stellarons and their suspicious similarities to Gnosis in Genshin Impact, or Herrscher cores in Honkai Impact 3rd. But I would like to believe that these similarities are not a direct link between the games, but rather forms of Easter eggs and parallelism.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought.
Basically how the story of Hoyoverse is represented in different games, just in different ways. So if you're interested in that topic, make sure to subscribe. And if this video was helpful in any way to help you better understand,
I will definitely subscribe because I love lore videos like this so fucking much, especially when games make it more difficult to actually know everything.
Next time,
guys, if you haven't I know a lot of you told me to watch this video. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely hit the like button on this video and subscribe, because holy shit, I didn't realize I need to check his other videos out. That was a good video. Wow. So like I thought, it's like there's a lot of Easter eggs. If you've played Honkai Impact 3rd, it's not directly correlated. Like, you don't need to know Honkai Impact 3rd story to like know what's going on in Star Rail. It just adds to the experience, much like if you were to play Final Fantasy Remake without playing Final Fantasy 7, right? The original. Like, it wouldn't make your experience worse. But I felt like playing Final Fantasy 7 OG before playing Remake, it enhanced my experience of playing it because, you know, obviously it was a remake. But yeah, wow, that was a good video. I really enjoyed that.